The two greatest pieces of fiction to ever grace the small screen, AMC's Better Call Saul and HBO's The Wire. But which one is truly the greatest of all time? Let's break it down. Centered around Jimmy McGill's life prior to becoming the sleazy lawyer we all know and love in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul's story is broken up into two major halves, the lawyer half and the more enjoyable, cartel half, where we follow prominent characters like Gus, Mike, Nacho, and my favorite, Lalo. Now, the creators of Better Call Saul had a problem. It was a prequel. The audience already knew where, when, and what was going to happen to the majority of the characters in the show. However, the creators of Better Call Saul were smart, focusing hugely on the one thing we didn't know, the how, which allowed the writing team to get creative when it came to telling the story. The use of these long drawn-out scenes where we watch Jimmy meticulously reconfigure Mesa Verde documents or Mike sabotage Hector's supply trucks allowed the creators of Better Call Saul to use objects and cinematography to its full effect, managing to achieve something with its visual storytelling that no show is yet to, or ever will, be able to stand in comparison with. Now, the actual story itself, the structure, the themes, the characters, the ideas, the scope, are all amazing. The journey we go on as we watch Jimmy McGill transform into Saul Goodman and Mike Ehrmantraut into Gus Fring's most lethal enforcer is truly masterful storytelling. However, The Wire might be on another level. Centered around the city of Baltimore and its inhabitants, The Wire's story is broken up into several halves: the police half, the criminal half, the dock workers, the media, the politicians, and the schools. Now yes, having to watch all these institutions get broken down in excruciating detail may feel a little slow at times, but similar to Better Call Saul, all of these slow moments are ultimately building up to a climax, a payoff, a lesson. Spending hours upon hours watching McNulty and his team work paper trails and pagers, watching Jimmy and Chuck battle back and forth over Jimmy's place at HMM may seem tedious, but for those who stuck to it, they got rewarded. Seeing McNulty put the cuffs on Avon after all his hard work, seeing Chuck break down in court, these climaxes were also rewarding because of all these so-called tedious moments. Now, all in all, I'm going to have to give this point to The Wire. I just think what it had to juggle and the story it set out to tell is a few levels above any show in my opinion. The Wire ending on that beautiful series of clips, showing us where all of our beloved characters we've spent 5 seasons with end up, and then Jimmy taking one last look at the city, all of the crime, corruption, and despair before he climbs back into his car and makes the decision to go back. Amazing. However, there's one problem. Season 5 was for the most part trash. Storylines were rushed, characters were forced into making stupid decisions in order to push the plot forward. Now, whether or not this was down to Ed Burns leaving the writing staff, I don't know, but in comparison to its earlier seasons, arguably some of the greatest seasons television has and will ever see, Season 5 unfortunately fails in comparison and therefore affects the show's ending. Unlike Better Call Saul, whose final season was arguably its best, episodes like Plan and Execution, Fun and Games, Saul Gone being undoubtedly top 10s in the series, this season included Nacho Varga and Howard Hamlin's death, two of the most impactful scenes in the entire show, both taking place in the space of 4 episodes. Now, this season does have one major flaw. Well, several actually.
Police force, and it's my fault you can't keep track of Lalo. That is not my job.
Lalo? Who's Lalo?
What?
Lalo Salamanca's death? Wow, wasn't that incredibly underwhelming and contrived? Why was Mike so vague when Jimmy asked about Lalo? Why didn't Gus just call Mike to let him know he's going to the laundromat? Whatever. This doesn't really reflect the amazing ending so much, so I give this point to Better Call Saul. Yeah, this one isn't really close. Whilst The Wire does the camera in some very interesting ways and is definitely a step above most TV shows, a lot of the time it looks as if it's being filmed on a CCT camera, especially if you happen to not be watching it on Sky.
For the call. Man, wait, he gonna get away, man.
But Better Call Saul, I'd go as far to say that this show has the best cinematography out of any show ever made. How it's used to portray a character's emotion and let the audience know what they're thinking is truly top tier. Take for example the scene where Kim is shown a room full of cases in need of a public defender. The way the camera is set up here and the shots chosen really help the audience understand Kim's motivations. Or the scenes between Nacho and his father, the way the camera separates the two to show they're divided is truly masterful from not only a storytelling standpoint, but also a cinematic one. Better Call Saul easily takes this point.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
Yeah, not too many shows can really compare to The Wire when it comes to dialogue. I mean...
Fix this Joe. What's the problem? Ran out of time.
Well, you see, Mike thought he should keep that cocaine he was slinging and the money he was making from slinging it. I thought otherwise. Wanna run through them veins? You kill him.
He's resting.
Omar to one side holding a spade, and maybe Marlo to the other with a shovel. And just at this moment, I managed to crawl out my own damn grave. No way do I crawl back in.
Now, don't get me wrong, Better Call Saul has many memorable quotes and scenes with amazing dialogue, such as Mike's breakdown in the episode 5-0.
I broke my boy.
Chuck's confession in the episode Chicanery.
And he gets to be a lawyer? What a sick joke.
And Lalo's interrogation of Jimmy and Kim in the episode Bad Choice Road.
Tell me again. What? Tell me again.
But unfortunately, it's up against the best to ever do it. Memorable line after memorable line. Scenes I can't stop watching over and over again. Michael K. Williams and Robert F. Chu had me thinking they were playing 21st century poets. And it sounded so real. Not once did I ever believe that these guys were just reading lines of a script. The Wire easily takes this point.
If you walk through the garden, you better watch your...
Wowee! Two of the most stacked casts in television history. Each show housing household names such as Saul Goodman, Jimmy McNulty, Stringer Bell, Mike Ehrmantraut, and Omar Little. Now, right off the bat, Saul Goodman and Omar Little are the two greatest characters to come from their respective shows, with Saul Goodman taking a slight edge in my opinion. But the side characters? This is where it gets tricky. With each character being completely and utterly distinguishable from one another, it's difficult to ever be bored when someone's on screen, especially in The Wire. Characters such as Clay Davis, Ziggy, Snoop always manage to entertain me whenever they're on screen. And the depth each one of these characters have is ridiculous. Small moments like Snoop asking Chris if they want Chinese after murdering a man, implying that she's now at the stage where murder is nothing to her, just adds to the depth of these lesser characters. And even in Better Call Saul, Lalo, who people love to claim is a very one-dimensional character, has these small moments which skyrockets his character's depth. The scene where he just gives Nacho a look after being asked,
"And if he doesn't like me?"
You'll be fine.
implying that he's seen Don Eladio do something horrible to a man he didn't like, and he doesn't much care, all adding to the depth of his character. But overall, which show truly has the better characters? I have to give it to The Wire. When you compare, say, the top 5 characters of each show, Saul, Kim, Mike, Chuck, and Nacho, to Jimmy, Omar, Stringer, D'Angelo, and Bubbles, I'd give it to Better Call Saul. But when you start to branch out wider, start looking at all the other characters like Namond, Colvin, Clay Davis, Bunk, Avon, Slim, Prop Joe, and many, many more, The Wire has to take this point and cement itself as the greatest television show of all time.
If you walk through the garden,